Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Azrin here, owner of the Calgary Language Nerds, and welcome to today's Learn Gujarati with Me video and podcast. If you're listening to this on the podcast, please note that there is a video version of every single podcast episode, which you can find on YouTube and Spotify. In the video versions of every single episode, I have a visual to support everything that I'm teaching in the lesson. So today, for example, right now, I'm sharing a blank whiteboard, and this is going to be the visual for today's class. Today, we're going to talk about the negative present tense in Gujarati. The negative present tense. In lesson 8, if I remember correctly, we talked about the present tense. Today, we're going to talk about the negative present tense. So we have the following agenda for today. So let's write agenda on the screen. Our agenda is the following. We are going to start by reviewing when to use the present tense, when to use the present. We're going to review as well the affirmative present tense, the affirmative present tense, and then we're going to learn the negative present tense. If you're not sure what all that means, don't worry. I will explain it to you. It'll make sense by the end of the video. All right. Let's start by reviewing when we actually use the present. So here's when we use it. We use it in two different situations, primarily. Okay, three really. Three primary situations. The first one is general truths and facts. General truths / facts. I'll give you some examples. Oops, let's redo that. Some examples of general truths and facts would be, I speak, or rather, I know, let's change that. I know how to speak French. I'm not speaking French now, but I know how to speak French, right? Another example of a general fact or a truth could be something like, this house is big. The house isn't doing something now that's big. It's not like, oh, this house is bigging. No. It's just a general fact or a general truth. Another example of a general fact or a general truth could be something like, she is Canadian. These are all examples of sentences that are general facts and truths. That's the first usage of our present tense. Let's scroll down. We have a second usage of our present tense. Our second usage of the present tense are things that are happening now, or rather actions, more specifically. Actions happening now. Literally right this second. I'll give you some examples. I am talking. I'm literally doing it right now. I am talking now. Another example, I am walking. Like literally right now, I am walking. Another example, he is studying. Again, this is happening right this second. He's studying, I'm talking. These are all things that are happening right now. The third time we use the present tense is repeated actions. I'll give you some examples. I visit my parents every month. I visit my parents every month. Here we have the term every month. It means we do this, I do this every single month. It happens repeatedly. Another example, I often, that's all I'm gonna say. I often travel to, let's say, Europe. It's not really true, but that's okay, just an example. We have a word here, often. Often, it shows us that it happens repeatedly. Another example, scroll down a bit. Oops, there we go. You sometimes eat meat. You sometimes eat meat. Not always, but sometimes. So notice how we have these frequency words, sometimes, often, every month, every week, every day, every this. So these are the 3 times that we use the present tense. We have general truths and facts, actions happening now, and repeated actions, things that happen repeatedly. Okay? So that is when we use our present tense. We've done step 1. That's when we use it. I think that was lesson 8 where I covered this. Maybe not in these terms, I don't remember anymore, but we've talked about when to use it. Okay, now let's go to reviewing how the affirmative present tense works in Gujarati. Okay, scroll down. Now, in Gujarati, just like English and many languages, we have what are called verb conjugations. So I'll give you an example of a verb. Let's take something like chalvu. Okay, chalvu. Chalvu means to walk. Okay, chalvu. I'll give you another one. Dorvu. Dorvu means to run. Chalvu, dorvu. I'll give you a third example of a verb. Let's take, for example, karvu. Karvu is to do. Chalvu, dorvu, karvu. These are 3 examples of verbs. Now you'll notice, in fact, you look at these 3 verbs. Tell me, do you see something in common between chalvu, dorvu, and karvu? Do you hear something or see something in common between chalvu, to walk, dorvu, to run, karvu, to do? Anything in common? Notice how they all end in vu. The last sound is vu in all of them. Chalvu, dorvu, karvu. In every single Gujarati verb, a verb is just an action word, something you do, right? So just an action word. In every single one, they all end in vu. Chalvu, dorvu, karvu, khavu, pivu, kolvu, anything, whatever it is, right? Urvu, they all end in vu. Now in Gujarati, when we're going to talk about something in the present, whether it's negative or affirmative, honestly, whichever one it is, we have to get rid of this vu, and we have to replace it with something else. Let me show you what that means. So if I want to say I'm walking in Gujarati, I am walking, we're going to say Hu chalu chu. So if we look here, I'm going to take blue. Here we have Hu chalu chu. Every time I'm doing something now in Gujarati, the verb, our action word, is always going to end in u, and we're always going to have chu after that. So I'll give you another example to demonstrate this. I am talking. Hu bolu chu. Again, look at that. Hu bolu chu. Bolu has an u at the end, and we have chu after the word bolu. Hu bolu chu. I am talking. Hu chalu chu. I am walking. One more example. I am let's do running. Hu doru chu. Again, notice that hu doru chu as well at the end. Hu doru chu. So if I am doing something, it's always hu u chu, hu chalu chu, hu bolu chu, hu doru chu, hu karu chu, hu something u chu. Okay, this is the review. We've talked about this in a previous video, but again, just demonstrating it here in case you didn't watch that lesson or listen to that lesson. Remember that the present tense we use for 3 different situations: general facts and truths, actions happening now, and repeated actions. So what that means is, let's scroll down. If we take something like, oops, let's switch colors. Hu bolu chu. Hu bolu chu. If we take something like that, right? This actually has possibly, let's say, 2/3 potential meanings. Okay, let's just stick with 2 for now. One is I am talking, like literally right now, but it also could just mean I talk, right? So I talk every day. Hu roj bolu chu. Right? Roj bolu chu. I talk every day. Or I talk frequently. Right? Like it could mean I talk or I am talking. So just remember that the present tense in Gujarati either means, it either is going to have like an ing at the end. I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm running, I'm doing something, I'm swimming, I'm jumping, I'm singing, I'm sleeping, right? Or it's just going to be or we're not going to have that ing. So boluchu is I talk or I am talking. Another example, oops. Unghuchu, right? This means one of 2 things. I am sleeping, or can mean I sleep. Unghuchu, I am sleeping or I sleep. Right? Another example is, let's use the right side of the screen here. Another example. Chalu chu. Again, 2 possible meanings. I am walking or I walk. Right? One more example. Let's say kam करू छु. હું કામ કરું છું. Two possible meanings. I am working or I work. I am, all these first ones, I'm going to number them off. So all the I am sleepings, I am walking, I am talking, I am working, right? Right? All those first usages with am, I am talking, I am sleeping, I am walking, I am working, I am jumping, I am swimming, I am, all these am-ings, am-ings, am-ing, am-ing, I am doing, all of those are things that are happening literally right now. The other ones, I talk, I sleep, I walk, I work. These ones we use for actions happening right now. Sorry. Excuse me. General facts and truths. So like, for example, we go back down. I sleep. That's a general fact or truth. Yeah, I sleep. The thing I do. Right? Or this one over here. I work. Yeah, I'm working. I work. It's a general fact. Yeah, sure. It's a general fact. I walk. Right? Yeah, I walk. I'm not doing it now. I'm sitting right now. But yeah, it's something I do. Right? So all these second ones, I talk, I sleep, I walk, I jump, I swim, I whatever. These are all things that are either general truths or they're repeated actions. Right? Or they're repeated actions. So for example, right? I talk if I add a frequency word every day, all the time. Right? The second one, I talk, if you keep the sentence going, it can become a frequency. It can become in the frequency category. Right? Right? I sleep, right? Right? Like that I sleep one could be I sleep every night. I sleep only sometimes. Like if you add a frequency word, right, that's going to be in that second category. So that's getting quite technical, way more technical, I think, than the very first time I made this video. But hopefully for the people that love the grammar, right? Hopefully that starts to make sense. Now, we got to look at. We're going to keep reviewing this affirmative present tense here. In fact, we're not even really reviewing it, are we? I guess we're covering it. I'm teaching it like you don't know it, so you get a full lesson. Excuse me. So let's make a chart. Scroll down here. Oops. Let's go. No, let's do Gujarati actually. So, તમે, તું, અમે, or આપણે. Right? અમે, આપણે. Let's actually go ame apne later. Let's go te. Let's go e or te. Ame apne teo. Okay. So for those watching the video, we have on the left-hand side of your screen, we have all of our Gujarati subject pronouns. These are words that, if we translate them, they mean I. Who is I? Tame is you, and it's a more formal word for you. Tu is also you, but more informal. So you, this is more formal. Let's write these here. Tame, formal. Tu, informal. Ente is he or she. They're synonyms. Ente both mean he and she, by the way. Ame, apne mean we. I have a video on that. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but ame is an exclusive we, apne is an inclusive we. I have that in lesson, I want to say lesson 6 is what I want to say. Okay, where I talk about ame and apne. Teo is they. Teo is something we use more in spoken language. People will tend to use more like eloko is what you'll hear more often, but Teo is the word for they, especially in writing. You'll see that. Okay, so if we make a bit of a messy chart, but a chart nonetheless. For those just listening, I'm making a chart on my screen to explain Gujarati conjugations. Although I admit it's a little bit messy, that's okay. You'll get the gist. You'll get the idea. Okay. There we go. So if I am doing something, we're gonna have who. We'll have a verb over here. Who karu chu. So we're gonna have u and chu. Who karu chu, who dhou chu, who chalu chu, who doru chu, who all these u and chus. Tame. Let's use a different verb. I don't like karvu. Let's use a different verb. Let's use the verb chalvu actually. Who chalu chu. Tame. If it's you're walking, tame chalo cho. If you are walking informal and you're talking to someone informally, tu chale che. So again, we have this a and che, chale che. If he or she is walking, e chale che. Again, e chale che. Ame apne, we're walking, chalie chie. Okay, ame apne chalie chie. If they're walking, teo chale che. This is that they are walking. Teo chale che. You got a and che. So what I'm trying to show you is that there's a pattern here. So if we change the verb and we had not I'm walking or I walk, but I had I'm swimming, all that's going to change is this first, all the endings stay the same. Right? So I'm swimming, tar u chu, taru chu. Tame taro, tame taro cho. Tu tar e che. E for here, he's swimming. Oops. E tar e che. Right? Hu taru chu, hu chalu chu, hu doru chu, notice all the u chu. For you, tame taro cho, tame chalo cho, tame karo cho, tame doro cho, tame bolo cho. If you informally are doing something, tu chale che, tu tare che, tu dore che, tu all these e che. He and she, same thing. E tare che, e chale che, e dore che, e randhe che, e verb stem, e che, right? For ame apare, same thing. Ame, if we're doing something, ame tadie chie. right? If they are swimming, teo tare. Tare. Oops. Tare che. So these endings stay the same all the time. Hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, I'm more than happy to clarify. Just go into the description box of today's episode. There is a link where you can contact me. You can contact me by email. You can contact me on social media. It's the same link. You can contact me. There's one link, and all the ways to contact me are found on that one link. Okay, so we've already talked about this. This is not the first time we've done this, but that is our very in-depth review, very in-depth review of our affirmative present tense. Okay, we've done this before, so if you've kept up with the videos, you've already seen this. Now, let's do our negative present tense. That was the whole point. That was initially when I started. I was thinking the whole point of today's lesson is negative present tense, but we'll do a quick review first. Well, we ended up doing a very in-depth review first, but that's okay. No big deal. Okay, let's do our negative present tense. So what the heck do I mean by negative present tense? Well, let's go into this. Gujarati is a little weird. Okay, it's a bit of a weird language. At least I think so. In comparison to like English, for instance, or really any other language I speak. I speak 5. So let's put a line here. Gujarati has different conjugation rules for the affirmative and the negative. So I'll show you what I mean by that. On the affirmative side of things, we have sentences like હું કામ કરું છું, which either means I am working, or just more generally, I work. Okay, હું કામ કરું છું. This is affirmative. On the negative side of things, we have, right, the opposite. In English, we use the word not. I am not working. Right? Or sometimes we use the word don't as well. Do not, rather, more specifically. I do not work. Right? We use this word not when we have negative sentences. Well, Gujarati has a way to make negative sentences too, but unfortunately, it's not quite as simple as adding the word not. Okay? Not quite as simple as that. There is a word for not, and the word for not in Gujarati is, here we go, is nati. Nati. Nati, well, is one of the words for not. It's the word for not that we're going to learn today. Nati. There's others, but we'll just focus on nati today. Okay? Nati, let's erase it. Nati. Let's show you how this works. So, let's go down here. Let's just go down here. Let me show you some examples. So, હું બોલું છું. Right? This would be હું બોલું છું. I talk or I am talking, one of the two, right? The negative form of હું બોલું છું is going to be હું નથી bolto. You could also say હું bolto હું bolto નથી. These are both correct. હું નથી bolto or હું bolto નથી. These would mean I am not. Both of these mean this. These both down here means I am not talking, or means I don't talk. Kind of means both, depends on context. So where the heck, how did this happen? Like what? Anyone that's really into grammar might look at this and be like, what the heck? Hum bolu chu looks nothing like hu nati bolto or hu bolto nati. Like, what the heck? Well, here's why. And not really here's why, but here's how it works in Gujarati. Let's make another chart. Try and make it a little bit neater than last time, if I can. Hum, tame, tu, e, orte, ame, apne, teo. Okay. For those just listening, I'm just drawing a chart on my screen. It's a little neater than last time, right? A little bit. Lines are a bit straighter. Now, if I want to say I don't do something or I'm not doing something, I don't speak, I don't, I don't know, I'm not walking, I'm not talking, right? Like, I'll give you some examples. Nathi bol to, right? Or another example, nathi chal to, I'm not walking. Nathi dorto. We have these nathis and then a to at the end of our verb. Let's use a different color for the tos. Right? Notice the to at the end of our verb. Hunati bolto, hunati chalto, hunati dorto. Right? I'm not talking, I'm not walking, I'm not running. We have these tos. The only thing that's a little bit different in the negative, that's quite different from the positive, is if you are a girl, as in I'm not, but if I were a girl, I would say hun nathi bolti. Hun nathi chalti. Hun nathi dorti. So for girls, we're gonna have a ti, hun nathi chalti, hun nathi dorti, hun nathi hun kam nathi karti. All the girls are gonna say ti. Boys to, girls ti. We have the same concept for you. If you aren't doing something, we're going to skip a line here for those watching the video. We're going to go right to tu down here. If you're not doing something, same thing. Tu nathi. Oh, let's use the same color. Tu nathi bolto karto hato dorto, whatever it is. Doesn't really matter what the verb is. It's going to have all these to for the boys. For the girls, we have ti. Tu nathi bolti. Tu kam nathi karti. Khati. Like all these O's change to I's for the girls. Same thing for he and she. He and she is exactly the same. E nathi bolti for girls. E nathi bolto for boys. E kam nathi karti for girls. E kam nathi karto for boys. Let's go there in a sec. So all the boys, hu, tu, e, te, doesn't matter. All the boys are to at the end of our verb. All the girls are ti at the end of the verb. Okay. For tame, let's do tame next. And then we'll do ame apne. We'll do after that. For tame, we're gonna have tame nati bol, not to, not ti, but tame nati bolta. Tame nati bolta. Tame nati chalta. So again, we have these for the chalta. So for all the tames, we have ta. For ame apne, we have the same concept. So if we look at some, pull up my notes here on my computer. Here we go. For all of the ame and apne, same thing. We're gonna have these ta. Oops, sorry, wrong one. Ame apne is gonna be ta as well. So nati bolta, nati chalta, nati dorta, nati whatever, ta. For teo, it's yeah, let's do Theo next. For Theo, we have the same thing. We're gonna have this ta again. Oop, I didn't do this in blue. Let's make this in blue up here. Ta. For Theo, we have ta as well. Theo, so eloko or eloko in more casual speech. Eloko. Right? Eloko nati bolta, eloko nati chalta, eloko nati whatever. It's also ta. And yeah, that's a gist of it. So again, as a recap, boys, we're gonna have to. Hu nati bolto, tu nati bolto, e nati bolto, so on and so forth. Girls, we have ti, hu nati chalti, hu nati dorti, hu nati bolti, tu nati bolti, e nati bolti, e nati, what else do I have? Chalti. For tame, we're gonna have, really for tame and all the plurals, so tame, ame, apre, and teo. So tame over here, ame, apre, and teo. We're gonna have ta, e nati bolta, e nati, sorry, tame nati bolta, ame apre nati bolta, nati dorta, so on and so forth. Okay. I was hesitating a little bit for a moment because there's one last thing I want to mention, and then we'll wrap this lesson up. We've covered a lot today. In fact, more than I typically do in these videos. But we'll do one last thing, and hopefully it's not too much, but we'll do one final thing here. For e and te, which is like he, or could also mean she, right? For e and te, it's worth noting that if the he or she that you're referring to is, I'll say this in one of two ways. If this e or te, the one we're referring to, if you are talking to that person and you would use tame, the formal word for you, right? Formal you. If you would use the formal you with that person, if you're going to say a negative sentence, we're going to have ta at the end. So for example, if I want to say like he doesn't talk, and that he that I'm referring to, whoever that he is, the person I'm referring to, if it's someone that I would use the respectful, formal form of you with, like tame, I would say e nati bol ta. I put ta at the end. I would not put bolto. That would be incorrect. E nati bolta. Does that make sense? I hope that made sense. That last little part, that's why I hesitated for a moment earlier. I was like, should I get into this or should I do it another day? I was like, no, let's get into it so it's complete. So, e nati bolta, that if the he in question, or the she also would work, the he or she in question basically is much older than you, is higher in status than you, the president of the whatever country, right? Or if they're an adult stranger. Oops. An adult stranger. Okay. So he doesn't talk. E nati bolta. If they're an adult stranger, higher in status or older than you. If they're your friend, if they're a child, yeah, if they're basically a friend, a child, or a family member of let's say a friend, family member. Here we go. Let's actually write these. Friend, family, and they're like kind of like the same age as you, roughly. Actually, friend doesn't matter. Friend either way. So let's go friend, family, same age, right? Or a child. We're just going to use the regular rules we saw up here, right? Bolto for boys, bolti for girls, right? Straightforward enough. But just remember, if they're older than you, if they're higher in status than you, or if they're an adult stranger, we're going to switch over to ta as well. Okay, that's a lot of information. Let's do it. Let's go to the top here of the page for those watching the video. Oop, went too far. We've now covered our negative present tense. So again, let's just do one big final recap. I'll give you some different ways you can practice this at home, and then we'll wrap it up. So again, when do we use the present tense? General truths and facts. My scrolling's not working all of a sudden. There we go. Actions happening right now and repeated actions. We gave some examples of over here of different sentences, basically very simple statements with the present tense in the affirmative. Hun bolu chu, hun unghu chu, hun chalu chu, hun kam karu chu. We looked at our conjugation rules in an affirmative present tense. So hun chalu chu, hun taru chu, hun doru chu, તમે તરો છો, તમે ચાલો છો, તમે દોડો છો, તું તરે છે, તું ઊંઘે છે, તું દોડે છે, એ તરે છે, એ ચાલે છે, એ ઊંઘે છે, આપણે તરીએ છીએ, ચાલીએ છીએ, ઊંઘીએ છીએ, તેઓ or એ લોકો તરે છે, કામ કરે છે, ઊંઘે છે. And then we looked at our nots, right? For nots, different set of rules. We use the word nati for the word not, nati. And then we're going to have to, ti, or ta, basically. Hu nati bolto. For all the boys, tu. Hu nati bolto, tu nati bolto, e nati bolto. All the girls, ti. Hu nati bolti, tu nati bolti, e nati bolti. All the plurals and formals, tame nati bolta, ame nati bolta, e loco nati bolta, right? E nati bolta if you're being more formal. Okay, so it's a lot of information. How do we actually practice this? Well, one of the simplest ways to practice this is, if you're watching this, you probably know someone who's Gujarati, which is going to be helpful. Okay, so how do you practice this at home? I'll give you a couple different options. So step one, oh, hang on. So option one, we have a few steps. Go to chat.open AI.com, make a free account. This is ChatGPT, if you haven't heard of it before, if you haven't used it before. Make a free account with an email address. You're going to type in, give me 100 basic sentences in the simple present tense for beginner ESL learners. Type that exact thing in to ChatGPT. Once you made a free account, it's going to give you 100 very simple sentences. Once you get those sentences, write them on a separate piece of paper or copy paste them into a separate document. Try to translate them into Gujarati. Okay, try to translate them. The first round through, do not use a translator. Right, do not use Google Translate or nothing like that. But the second time through, right, you're welcome to. So first time, do not use a translator. Second time, feel free to use one if you need to. Step 3, write the negative form of the sentences. Write the negative form of, of the sentences you translated. Okay, so if you wrote one sentence, I am not walking, or sorry, I am walking, hu chalu chu, you're gonna write hu nati chalto. You're gonna switch it and write the negative. Step 4, ask a Gujarati person you know. Ask a Gujarati person you know to correct your sentences. So you're going to show it to someone you know who's Gujarati and be like, hey, are these right? And then they'll help you correct them. If you don't know anyone who's Gujarati, I want you to download an app. The app is called Hello Talk. Or you can download another one. It's the same app, but different company, or rather, same function, different company. The app is called Tandem. These are apps where you'll find a language exchange partner. They will help you practice Gujarati. You help them practice English. Okay. The apps are the wild, wild west. Some people use them as a dating app. So just be aware of that. Some people are a little weird and creepy. Block them. But I, to this day, have someone I've known for like 4 or 5 years who I met on Hello Talk. He's been incredibly helpful to me to learn Gujarati. Kind of my go-to person when I have questions about how do you say this or how do you say that, or like, is this one right or is this one right? Did I get this grammar right? Like, he's my go-to person. So lots, I've used the apps a lot. Just be mindful that there are some people that use it as a dating app or that are a bit creepy, or just be mindful of that. So, and you have to block them if they're being a little creepy. Okay. So you can find someone on one of these 2 apps, or of course you can just hire a tutor. Not that there are very many. You can hire me. I'm not accepting a ton of new students personally, but at least as I'm recording this, but you're welcome to ask. And who knows, maybe if there's like 50 of you that ask, maybe I'll start like a weekly Q&A or something and charge you guys, maybe like a group thing, maybe if there's enough demand. But anyway, feel free to ask and I can let you know where things are at. Cool. Thank you for watching / listening to today's lesson. We covered a lot. Oh, sorry. One last thing. I'm sorry. I only give you one option to practice. There's other ways to practice too. Option 2. Whoa, that's really messy. Let's do that again. Option 2. Right, we have other ways to practice as well. You can do what would you call that? You can here, I'll break it down like this. This is probably more for the intermediate speakers. I don't think you could do this if you're like beginner. I don't think this will work. But listen to a podcast or a video in Gujarati. Honestly, I'm not even going to write the steps for this. I'll explain it orally. For this one here, this is something you can just kind of do as a general whole. Be listening and reading to Gujarati all the time, but don't just listen and read. Like if you're really trying to practice the present tense or the past tense or a pronunciation point, whatever it is, right? As you're listening and you notice something in the present tense, in the past tense, using a specific letter that you have a hard time pronouncing, whatever concept you're wanting to practice, right? This is something you can do for everything. Where you notice, oh, that speaker just said a sentence in the present tense. Oh, and I'm struggling with that. Oh, pause, right? Rewind, listen again, listen to the exact words they used, and then you actually say it to imitate them to the best of your ability. So you actually out loud say what they said and imitate their tone of voice, their body language, imitate it to the best of your ability, and do that throughout the entire week. You're also welcome to write down any sentences you hear them say, or phrases or paragraphs, whatever. You're welcome to like write those down as they say them. Pause, rewind as often as needed. Right? That's also another version of that practice activity. So hope that makes sense. Okay, thanks for watching / listening. Hope this is helpful to you guys, and we'll chat next time. Aujo, bye-bye.